I think postmodernism is the greatest among intellectual and literary movements because it is all about challenging and dismantling every universal claim. To give a historical backdrop, the postmodernism of the 1960s was in part a reaction as well as a rejection of modernism, of high culture. Um, with the ending of the Second World War and the falling of the British Empire, it was the time of the breakdown of older power structures in terms of colonization. So, with the rise of this new world order, there was a rise in a number of things too, right? There was a rise in the concept of marginality, queer identities, gender identities, also post colonial sensibilities. So, as a historical literary movement, postmodernism presented as well as sided with this breakdown and the revision of ideas. Right? Now, postmodernism never gives us fixed answers. It is anti-foundational. All the meta-narratives are looked at suspiciously. Meta-narratives are ideas such as religion, science, art, truth, history, reality, which are absolute, right? Which make absolute universal claims about knowledge, about truth. Now, postmodernism is highly skeptical about all these meta narratives. And because it is so skeptical, it generates a crisis of faith, of identity, of reality. Now, the essence of postmodernism is charted out by this theorist Lyotard when he says that postmodernism is incredulity towards meta narratives. We constantly negotiate how we interact with these meta-narratives of religion, of gender, of global hierarchies, beauty, and so on. Postmodernism argues that all these universal claims, all these meta-narratives, they are disintegrating, they are losing their vitality, their legitimacy, and are becoming increasingly prone to criticism. For example, it deconstructs the meta-narrative of time, right? There are multiple representations of time. There is historical time, seasonal time, local time, even personal time. But in postmodernism, this universal idea of time is radically decentered. Okay? It completely disregards the Western view of time as regimented, as scientific, as rational, a principle through which life has to be structured. For example, one needs to work 8 hours a day from 9 to 5. One needs to always use time productively and not waste it. But postmodernism argues who decides what is waste and what is productive, right? Postmodernism also shows great incredulity towards these ideas of nation, of national boundaries, of nationalism, right? What is a nation if not a figment of imagination? So postmodernism punctures these grand narratives. It punctures these ideas of high seriousness, and it views history with a great deal of suspicion. It challenges the idea of certainty. Postmodernism urges one to go beyond the official records of history. There is not one but multiple histories. And I think a prime example of postmodernism is Andy Warhol and his work. His 30 Are Better Than One is a multi-image print of Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting, the Mona Lisa. Now, Warhol's print shows that the uniqueness, the artistic aura of Mona Lisa can be destroyed by its infinite reproducibility through the silkscreen printing technique that Warhol uses in this print. So postmodernism refuses to respect the pretentiousness, the distinctiveness that comes with these grand narratives of art, of classical art in fact, of grand history, of scientific time, and so on. The biggest takeaway from postmodernism, I think, is this idea of challenging everything, of unlearning, even in our own personal lives.